Election Day is coming up on Tuesday, and 3 people are running for a seat in Ward 1 in Aurora. Your reporter in Aurora, Michael Abeyta, spoke with Reid Heittich, Gianina, Horton, and Stephen Elkins to see what the biggest issues are for each candidate.
Well, election season is upon us once again, and the people who live in Aurora's Ward 1 have an important decision to make. Who is going to replace Crystal Murillo in what will be a vacant city council seat? I sat down and talked to all 3 candidates that are running for the position to see where they stand on Aurora's issues.
My name is Reid Heittich.
Gianina, Horton.
Stephen Elkins.
I mean, it's a tough job to be a city council person.
It
Why
is.
do you want it? Why do you want it?
So it wasn't part of my 20-year plan, wasn't on my bucket list, not something that I was planning on doing. But we're at a unique moment in history, and especially this part of town in Aurora, in which there are some challenges, from public safety to economic development to, there's boarded up buildings, there's a lot of challenges in our community. But there's also a moment in which there's some real opportunities.
Wow, I have some friends who are like, "Are you sure? Are you okay?" I want the job because I love Ward 1, and maybe that seems too basic, or maybe folks don't understand that, but there's a rich history here. We are original Aurora. We have an opportunity to grow our area of Aurora.
I've always been interested in politics and policy, but I think the other piece of it is we deserve someone who's going to answer your emails and phone calls. We deserve someone who's going to show up. We deserve someone that when you show up at a public meeting and say, hey, there's a public safety crisis in my neighborhood, I need help. We need someone who will go out and help people. I think I have a positive vision for Northwest Aurora.
What do you think the biggest issue facing Aurora is?
Gosh, well, when I'm at the doors, the biggest issue facing Aurorians is speeding. So it may not seem like a big deal for a lot of folks, right? Especially given the context in which or where our country's at, where some of the bigger issues. But for residents, it really is about how do we make sure our streets are safe for all, for the kids who want to play outside, to our elders who want to walk their dogs, right? And so it's a really so that's one of the more pressing issues. And I think to take a step back from even what I'm hearing at the doors is safety across the board, all the way from the need for police accountability, for residents asking for more police presence in some neighborhoods, for crime to be addressed robustly. And so it's a wide range of what safety really means for residents, better lighting, green spaces. And I think that's a core issue.
I think it's safety, and a lot of people have a lot of different conclusions on what that means. One thing I hear from a lot of people I speak with is they don't feel safe in their homes, they don't feel safe in their neighborhoods, they don't feel safe to go to their own grocery store. And what that has caused is this strange imbalance where people are living in the neighborhood, but they're not going out to eat there, they're not shopping there. And that is helping to cause more problems along Colfax because you have fewer eyes on the street, you have fewer people there. So I think public safety, I've been fortunate that I have been endorsed by Aurora's police unions. They believe in my vision for community policing in Northwest Aurora, which is I want to see more bike patrols, I want to see foot patrols. One thing that I'm committing to in my first 6 months in office is holding public safety town halls so that I can hear directly from the community and how they would like to see public safety implemented on a neighborhood scale in Northwest Aurora.
Well, almost everyone I talk to refers to public safety in some fashion or other. That's a fairly broad subject, from violent crime to police department and police misconduct to people speeding on the streets and traffic fatalities. All of those things. I was at a community meeting last night, and they were just talking about people going 60, 70 miles an hour on side streets. And it is a real public safety issue. It is something that, just over and over again, I hear people being concerned about that. The city has a traffic calming department, and I think that helps in some cases. The police department has talked about not having the staffing to really being out there, enforcing speed limits. But something has to be done, and we need to come up with some creative solutions.
Any other details about how you plan to address that?
Yeah, I think it's really, I think there's been a lot of concern, of course, with officer-involved shootings. I think the community needs to understand how our officers are trained to respond to places to situations where they are meeting people in crisis. Aurora also has this program that is on the verge of being expanded, where instead of officers being dispatched as people who are trained mental health professionals dispatched in crisis, because those people, of course, will always be better trained to handle people in crisis than our officers. So I think that is something I will continue to support. But really, safety comes down to, I think also, is this a place people want to be?
I have been a part of the Community Advisory Council for the consent decree, which is dealing with some of the police reform things. And so that is one of the ways that we're addressing some of the excessive use of force, updating policies and procedures, making sure things are done transparently. And so that part of it I've been working on for the last 4 years. I've been on that council. And I think we've made some progress. Some work still to be done, but really have made some good progress. Some of the traffic things is a problem that seems to be getting worse. And no one seems to have a great solution for that at the moment. But I think it's time for us to really call all interested parties together and have some sort of a summit to figure out how do we deal with this.
I mean, part of my platform is running on accountable policing and alternatives. We have an opportunity after the consent decree ends to establish an independent civilian oversight agency of the Aurora Police Department. And so really there's a number of community members who have been championing that initiative. And so there's an opportunity there to really promote accountability and transparency of our police department and address some of the more systemic issues that we are seeing across the board when it comes to that particular public safety department. The other piece is investing in alternatives. And I know we are in the middle of a $25, $26 million deficit. So, long-term strategy here is to think through, how do we, provide more funding for the AMRT and really have mental and behavioral health services that are culturally relevant, that can reach demographics that normally have a hard time trusting in systems and trusting in local government, and provide a space for them to get the help and the resources they need.
Last question, why should people vote for you?
I think I'm uniquely qualified because I've been around for a while and been in the game and been working. I've been a part of the police reform movement for 5-6 years, actively, weekly in that genre. Been involved in some of the economic revitalization stuff, doing some research, made trips to Portland and Boston and even went over to see a new SED in Denver, to really investigate what other communities are doing. I think I have been involved, I've put in the work, I have the experience, so I can get to work on day one. I'm not going to have to try to figure out what's going on or what a community development corporation is. Been doing that for a while. So I'm sort of prepared on day one to get to work, and I don't think we have time to train a new city council member. Got to get going right away.
I, as a candidate, have been really focused on making sure I'm earning the trust of voters, that voters understand that how I'm going to show up as a candidate is how I'm going to show up as the next elected official for Ward 1 Aurora. And that is leaning on my 3 core values is relationships. Relationships are key. Relationship is where when there's conflict all the way to celebratory moments, we are in it together. The second is that I'm a learner, that, I don't know everything. As a candidate, it's been awesome to learn about traffic calming initiatives, and I truly do it really has been such a great learning experience, because that is the kind of elected official folks should want, is someone who's willing to learn, to engage, and to grow. And then the second piece is education. I'm running a race. I'm doing my darn hardest to win, and if I don't, part of what I'm doing as a candidate is to make sure I'm putting education pieces out there. That, you know, what is the Downtown Development Authority that Colfax is looking at the special election on November 4th? You know, traffic calming, Xcel Energy, peak hours. You know, those are the things I'm hearing at the doors. I'm educating myself on, and then spreading that message, at least on my socials, of what I'm learning. And so education is a really key piece of understanding the ways in which local government impacts our daily lives.
People should vote for me because, you know, I am an unaffiliated candidate. I really learned a lot on what it means to be a community advocate when I worked on the edge at Lowry with the Mabry Safety Collective. It was really important to me that while, yes, I didn't live in the immediate neighborhood, I wanted to help people in crisis. So I helped connect people to elected officials, city officials. I, on my own time and my own dime, pulled all the calls for service over 2 years there and saw a massive increase over a year ago. And then I started advocating to our mayor, to our police chief at city council, not just to close the edge at Lowry, but to also ensure that the people living there were rehoused. Because it was not dignified housing, it was not safe housing. And so I was really proud working with neighbors to get it closed and get people rehoused to address likely what has been the biggest public safety crisis in Ward 1.
Election Day is November 4th. In Aurora, Michael Abeyta, covering Colorado First.